it's Stephen King Saturday time. We are moving on to the Night Shift collection, number 3, Disciples of the Crow. This one kind of had me scratching my head. We did read the Children of the Corn short story finally.
Yeah.
I watched 10 other Children of the Corn movies, and then I watched this like short little 22-minute thing and prepped for this one, but not the other 10 Children of the Corn films that I've seen.
There you go.
Yeah, but I finally read it, and the Linda Hamilton original is pretty similar. I mean, it's longer.
Yeah,
right?
It's longer.
It's just kind of like the first 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes of the movie is pretty close to this, and then it just kind of ends there. And then, of course, in the movie, they do more.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I was pretty surprised at how accurate the original is to the source material, but they just expand upon it. And that's pretty similar here with Disciples of the Crow. Why this isn't called Children of the Corn, fuck if I know.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
Why they're not in Gatlin.
Yeah, they're in Oklahoma.
They're in Oklahoma. They're not even in Gatlin, Oklahoma.
No.
They're in some other...
Jonah?
Yeah, Jonah, Oklahoma instead of Gatlin, Nebraska.
Yeah.
So, really weird.
Super weird.
And I would need your phone really quick. I don't even know if the characters' names are the same.
Oh,
Did they say Malachi or Isaac or any of those names in this?
I don't know that they did.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's weird because
Bert is the same.
they say like that the story's written by Stephen King.
Yeah.
Right? Can you let her out? This cat is meowing every 2 seconds. It's craziness. So child, boyfriend, mother, preacher, Bert, Vicky, right? That's it.
Yeah.
So no Malachi, no Isaac, none of that stuff.
Just the child.
So it's weird. I wonder if this has trivia. Okay, in this adaptation, the setting has been changed from Gatlin, Nebraska to Jonah, Oklahoma. And the film takes place in 1971 and 1983. Yeah, I don't know. There's got to be some kind of reason why they didn't have the rights. They had the rights to the story, though, because as far as the book, novella versus this goes, it's all pretty similar. I mean, they're driving in through this town. They hit a kid. They put him in the trunk. They drive into town. The town is empty.
Yeah.
They run into the Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all that stuff is there. All the story's the same. It credits Stephen King as the writer.
Yeah.
This is on a Stephen King Night Shift collection VHS. And this is from the book Night Shift. Why they wouldn't have rights to the name? Maybe because when was this released? This was released in 1983, and The Children of the Corn was 1984. That's what I thought. So it's very possible that because Children of the Corn
Was coming out.
was being made, they had licensing right issues with them, and we're like, you can't release it with this title.
Yeah.
It's going to confuse audiences on like home video release.
Sure.
You know, they're going to want our movie and whatever.
Yeah.
So that has to be what it is.
I mean, it would make sense.
Right? Because of the short proximity of time and all of that. But this is prior. So this is predating Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
it's definitely the best of the three that we've watched. It's the most like actual horror.
Yes.
The acting from the couple is fine.
Yeah.
The direction in it's fine. It feels like a legitimate 1980s horror television episode.
Yeah.
Right? Like you would see on, something like Tales from the Dark Side or something.
Yeah, it did feel like that. And I agree. I think it is the best of the three that we've watched. Even though the copy that we were watching was really bad.
Yeah, I mean, we watched it on YouTube. That's the only thing that we had access to. And there was literally a, full minute.
Where the audio just totally cut out.
Completely.
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, I mean...
I guess we don't hear any of
we
that.
don't need to hear any of it, I guess. We probably did. We could we could figure out what they were saying. As far as, the kids in this... Yeah, I mean, they're definitely not Malachi and Isaac and all the other kids from the original Children of the Corn because, they have a presence.
Yes.
And they're very iconic and, intimidating and scary. And these kids just feel like little kids. And,
yeah.
I don't have any fear instilled in me with the kids in this adaptation.
No, I didn't have any fear at all. And, Children of the Corn is one of the movies that, I first watched when I was younger that was a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was definitely freaked out by, Malachi and Isaac and all the children in that.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, they have a presence. In this, I don't know. They just felt, really non-threatening.
Sure. This is cool to do, I'll say, because, having covered every other Children of the Corn thing, I'm glad to finally finish all the Children of the Corn adaptations. I had always wanted to make sure I checked this off the list. We have that new Children of the Corn that just came out that we watched. That's got the chick from that Sacred Lies that I was watching, that Facebook show. And that movie's not great, but not as terrible as everyone else is saying it is. I think it's okay-ish. But, and the Children of the Corn franchise as a whole is not good. But I will always be a very staunch defender of part 3 and 4. And I think 1's cool, and 2's fun and watchable with all the, Wizard of Oz references and shit. It's a weird movie, but this one is just a lesser version
of the
original. And, we've already done this, right? Children of the Corn has been remade a couple times now, right? So this is just yet another iteration of a very short story. Right. Although it was the longest story of the 3 so far that we read. That being said, when I originally looked into this, and if you look back at one of my reviews for Children of the Corn, I very mistakenly state in there that the Children of the Corn novella is only 8 pages long.
Yeah.
Because, and I was like, oh, fun fact, there's more adaptations than there is source material pages. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was always such a cool, fun little fact, and it's not a fact at all, because this one is way over 9 pages. So the book I looked at, whatever copy I had, the Children of the Corn story I had was only 9 pages long, or 8 pages long.
Super weird.
So I don't know what the hell that was.
No, neither do I.
But yeah, I definitely want to make that amendment here, but I don't know what the hell happened there. Yeah, I mean, what's there to say about this that hasn't already been said about Children of the Corn? I mean, I liked the look of the knife.
Yeah, the corn weapons that they have, because there's the knife, and then one of the kids grabs a corn pick thing that looks really cool. I liked that.
I feel like Stephen King just has, especially maybe even in Night Shift, but in tons of his works, and I think this is just probably because of the time period he was raised in, but the men in his stories are like very classic, fucking misogynistic.
I wonder too if it was like when he was writing it, like in his life as well.
Yeah.
You know, because like obviously he was an alcoholic for many years.
You think he talked to Tabitha like that?
I don't know. I don't know what their relationship is like at all. I've literally never.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
But I don't know. I'm curious because like they all seem like a lot of his men, especially in these like other early works. I don't know. They just seem really angry. But you're right, misogynistic.
I can see our reflection in this TV over here of our recording and like our framing. Like here's my shoulder. Like right here at the edge of the camera. Dude, I'm telling you guys, when I frame this, because I have to frame it before we record, and I give her some room on hers, and I give myself like a ton of room on my right, and I always think like, nah, that's too much. Yeah. And then when I go to sit down, I always am like at the edge of the frame.
Yeah.
I am so much bigger.
Yeah.
I am so much wider than you.
Yes.
It's kind of insane. Like when the chairs are directly in the center of this camera. Like we both get up, you'll see there's just the same amount on both sides of the chair.
Yeah.
But like I take up so much. I'm looking at it right now and I cannot believe this is where my arm is to the relation of the edge of the freaking screen, because I seriously put it over so far and I actually thought for a second that's too far. But then I was like, no, you always say that. And it's still not far enough over. Here, move over a little. There. Now, I mean, he's off.
Yeah,
but
he's off, but that's alright.
There.
Now we're all even.
Now we're better, right? We got a little more. Yeah, that's more even. Drives me absolutely crazy. But anyways. Yeah, it's just Stephen King's characters, and I know they're supposed to just be like realistic or like the everyman or whatever, but it's very telling of the times and the times that he was raised in because of how men talk and act.
But also, like, this couple, they're very unhappy with each other, too.
And they're just, like, recently married, too. They're a young couple.
Yeah. But I think that he writes, like, upset couples really well. Like, the pettiness and, like, the mean-spirited, like, comments that they make. And just the, like, underlying brewing hatred, which is horrible. But that, I think he actually writes those couples really well. But yeah, it is very telling of the times.
I think the moral of this story is listen to your wife. She literally, like, in a lot of stories, the woman will be like, or the black guy, or somebody, some minority or female character is always the one that's like, we need to get out of here. And it's always like the white men that don't listen. Yeah. It's true. It's funny, but it's true. But like in a lot of those stories, people will push back like twice, at most 3 times, rarely, where they'll be like, we need to go. And it's like, no, we're staying. And then they're like, no, come on, we need to go. And then the person's like, no. And then she's like, and that's usually kind of where it stops, because the person will like freak out on them if they go for like a third.
Yeah.
In the book, she says we need to leave like 8 times in a row.
Yeah, she's
she is so adamant.
Yes, very adamant. And he's just like, she does this all the time when she doesn't get her way.
Yes, they needed to leave.
Yes.
They needed to leave.
They did.
The big change here, of course, is in the novella. His wife is strung up on a post like a scarecrow. Her eyes are plucked out. She's like stuffed with corn husks and all sorts of shit. So like,
really gnarly.
Now, I'm assuming this doesn't happen because of the more like, it's not family friendly, but it's like TV friendly. Yeah. right? It's very PG.
Yes.
And so in this, they just get in a car and drive off.
Yeah.
They're fine.
They just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole town of Jonah, a.k.a. Gatlin, is all dead. So that's funny, though. Like, I would think that they would be able to not use the title.
But they could use
the
town
names
and the character names. Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. That's super weird for sure.
That's just pretty interesting to me that they aren't allowed to use like anything. Bert and Vicky.
I mean that they use those.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Those are the only names that cross over.
Yep.
So why are they allowed to use Bert and Vicky? But they're not allowed to use the title. They're not allowed to use the town. They're not allowed to use the kids' names. They're not and we don't get any focus on the kids. Like there's no like leader. There's no Isaac. There's no Malachi. There's just evil kids.
Yeah.
And it happens so fast, right?
It does.
But they do recreate some stuff like the driving scene when they're seeing, they're listening to the radio and she's laughing her ass off.
About all the signs.
And then the signs are coming and they're like one by one, they're reading them and they're cheap and they hit the kid and then they find the stuff in he's had his throat slit.
Yes.
Or whatever and pushed out onto the road, which is the same in the book. So the adaptation is fairly comparable, but it's really in the fact and as far as like the length of it, this is like proper length. For how long the story is.
Yeah.
So with shorts like this, this is like what they should be adapted to.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Unless there's definitely stuff you can add to improve it. But yeah.
But do I prefer the Children of the Corn movie? 100%.
Yeah.
And I think the additions and everything do make it better.
Yeah. I agree.
But this is more of a like shot for shot adaptation where it's quick and it ends fast, but they just change the ending. And we don't get a focus on like Malachi, who has impregnated his girlfriend in the book, and Isaac is leading them, but like he doesn't get a lot. They I don't know. It really is just in the book they're fighting. They hit someone, throw him in the trunk. They drive into Gatlin. He's trying to find someone. The reason he won't leave is because, and I'd pointed out to Kaylee that this actually reminded me, story-wise, very much of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, when the hitchhiker gets in the car, blows her head off, and then they're driving around with her in the back, and they get into the town, and they're kind of fighting over, we're just, we need to drive to the next town, like this, this and that. And, some of them are like, hell no. And some of them are like, yes. Now, ultimately in that, they decide to just try to leave her behind. But Jessica Biel's character is like, I'll leave your ass if you do this. And in that instance, it's the girl that needs to listen and gets them all killed.
Yeah.
Because if they would have just dumped her ass and drove off,
they
would all live.
Yep.
More than likely. But because they wait for the sheriff, it ruins them. In this, it's very similar. He, in the book, wants to find somebody in town because he's like, I'm not driving around. It's going to look bad that I hit someone with my car and then I drive this kid 70 miles. Especially if, like, they're wrong and this kid still had, like, a pulse or something.
Oh, my God, sure.
And died in the car. And it's like, you could have saved him if you took him to friggin' Gatlin, Jonah Gatlin. I think picking up like the kid is also slightly a mistake. I mean, unless he was like alive or had a pulse and they were trying to get him to a hospital, I feel like moving him and putting him in the trunk of the car is not the right thing to do. I feel like you should go get like police. No, back then.
But during
you'd need a cell phone.
But during that time, I guess maybe that is the right call. But like now, if that happened, I'm like, no, you should.
Oh yeah, you don't move people.
Move them from the scene.
Yeah.
Especially if you're trying to be like, I wasn't the one that killed him. Like someone pushed them out, and then I just hit them on accident.
It would depend. I don't know. I mean, if someone was like gushing blood out their like neck or something, I would definitely be like, they're not, the ambulance ain't going to get here in time. Like, my only chance is I got to get this person to the hospital ASAP. So I think it, of course, is on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
So use your
judgment.
Yeah, use your own judgment. And I don't know. I mean, as I said, the performances from the two leads is fine. They're adequate enough. Far better than the Boogeyman.
Oh my God, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That
definitely. Yeah, sorry, it was rough. I was just gonna say I definitely like this adaptation the best of all the three that we've watched so far, even though I think that the acting was fine in the last one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah.
That was okay. That one was more just like sad.
It was just super sad, and this is definitely more horror, so
yeah,
I prefer it for sure.
Horror with a light ending.
Yeah, and happy ending.
Would have much preferred them to go the real route.
Yes.
And have her strung up and everything. It's been a while since I watched Children of the Corn. I wouldn't mind getting that Arrow Blu-ray, or I think it's even a 4K. They put 1 through 3 in a box set. It's a region free, or not region free. I'm sorry, region B, which is super lame. I have a region free Blu-ray player, so I'm okay. But I would have liked for them to do an American release and also to include part 4. Like, I don't need 5, 6, 7, or any of the other ones after that. But 3 and 4 are musts when it comes to this franchise. So it's a shame, but I would really like to go back and visit that, because I honestly can't even remember how that ends up going as far as like what happens to Vicky Linda Hamilton's character, if she is like strung up and her eyes are cut out and all that shit. I don't think that's what happens. I want to say they like get to the car, like her and a kid, and drive off together. But maybe that's the guy. God, it's been a while.
Yeah,
I covered this on the channel when I very first started the channel. So you're talking 6 years ago at least.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be super opposed if we got a really legit like box set from Arrow. I would totally revisit these, but only the first 4. I have no interest in seeing any other film past that again. Yeah. Well, I'd probably watch 5 and 6 again. 6 for sure. Eva Mendes is in part 5, so it'd be super interesting. I remember that, all of that stuff fairly well. And then 6 is Isaac's return. Children of the Corn 666. That was back when they were doing like Dimension movies, was doing like every 6th movie in a franchise has to be Halloween 666.
Yeah.
The Curse of Michael Myers. But yeah, so that's that. I don't know what more we can say about this one.
I don't either, honestly.
It's just so quick and
pretty
straightforward.
And pretty similar.
Yeah.
The big change is just the ending, really. And yeah, and the fact that it's in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean those are the major changes.
Those are definitely, yeah.
And the story, and as I said, it's very straightforward. They get to the town, the kids come out, they try to kill them, they drive away. I mean, there's nothing really to talk about.
No.
There's nothing, no plot twists, no like interesting dialogue, no, stupid character choices or camera angles or anything. It's just kind of a very unremarkable thing, but like it's also kind of adequate-ish. Like, it's weird. It's just such a bland display.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay.
It is okay. And I'm happy we read the short story, though. I'm glad that we've done that. So.
Yeah, I'm glad. I needed to, because I've number one, I needed to know how long it actually was, so I can stop being wrong on that. And number two, I've partaken in so much Children of the Corn in my life that not having read the novella seems silly. So that's that. Stephen King's Saturday comes to a head, and it is 12:05 right now, Saturday. So we got it just under the wire. I got to upload this right now. So you guys will be watching this within the hour. Lucky you. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.